Hi, my name is Tamara Anderson, and I am here talking about my second career choice for Family 150. And I have decided that I wanted to explore the career of a school counselor. The reason I decided to explore this career is because that's what I'm interested in becoming. I decided that I was going to go to our local high school where four of my children have attended. One's attending currently. And their counselor was not available, so I went and talked to one of the other counselors who was available at the time. The high school that they attend is Timberline High School in Lacey, Washington, and they are part of the North Thurston Public Schools. And it's a great public school system. It's really quite large. I believe it's the largest school system in Washington State. And the counselor that I chose to speak with is Matthew Stevens. While speaking with him, he told me that there are four counselors at Timberline High School, and his caseload includes 415 students. He said that this is quite a large caseload, and typically they like to have about 300 kids or students to be on a caseload, but it works out all right. Between the four different counselors, they share about 70 years of experience. And so if they ever have questions for each other, they do have a lot of different conversations they can have to help each other out. Also, as far as work environment goes, his work environment there is wonderful. He has great support, and he feels that if there's ever an emergency at home or if he needs to leave for any reason, the other counselors are there to back him up and help him out. So it's a really great work environment. Also, talking with him about the typical stressors, I thought it was very interesting, and this was something that caught me off guard a little bit, but he said probably the most stressful thing that he's ever come across is when a student comes in and they are in a suicidal mode, and that, he said, is the most stressful thing that he has had to deal with in his career, is because he has a lot of choices to make at that point in time. A lot of decisions to make. Of course, he needs to help talk down the student, and talk with them and help them work through their issues and get them to a point where they can get some other help, or where he feels like they can be released. And if not, what is he going to do? They have the school resource officer, and he also has to make that call to the parent and, decide what level of, stability their student is at the time. And he also has to inform the principal of what's going on. So that's very difficult, he says, because the student a lot of times will say, I don't want anyone to know. And he knows as a professional that because of self-harm and the ethics code that he's taken upon himself, that is something he has to report. So that's a very stressful thing for him. He has been working at his job for about 17 years. He said after about 5 years, it's become a little easier, but that is typically the number one stressor that he has encountered over time and in his job. He said the next stressor with his career that he's had to deal with is working with parents. Parents can be very stressful to deal with at times when they come in and they're upset. They've heard their student side of the story. They're very angry. They want to, let loose on the counselor, on the teacher, on the principal, and, get to a point where, they want to be heard. And he does a lot of mediation between parent, student, and himself. And he said at times been instances where he will cancel a meeting and say, this is going nowhere, and let's cancel and reschedule for a new time because this isn't being productive. And but sometimes parents just need to get what they have to say off their chest, and then they're at a point where they can be reasoned with and be worked with so that they can move on and resolve their issue with their student. And maybe there are things there that they didn't know what was going on with their student in the first place. So he says that's pretty stressful because, he has relationships that he needs to maintain, not only with the student and parent, but also with the educator that maybe the parent's trying to tear up and down. So he's, they're a facilitator and a mediator. Also, scheduling can be quite a bit stressful. They're in charge of scheduling. He wishes that they could handle scheduling a little bit differently, hire a scheduler to take care of that. He thinks that could be handled a little bit differently at their school. Let's see here. The typical job benefits with our school district come with medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, as well as sick leave, and they have their 401k and retirement plan that they can contribute to. And he was talking about an extra stipend that the counselors receive for doing extra things in evening time, like senior night or FAFSA night, or like career fairs, different things like that. And he said that they receive an extra $10,000 a year for doing all their extra activities and extra planning that they did put in. The common role that high school counselors have, the most important thing for a counselor to do is to help the students graduate from high school. So if they're not meeting requirements to graduate, they pull them in, help them with their schedule. If it's a behavior issue, they help them with behavior. They set goals. They just intervene and help the students become successful in their schooling. He said a lot of times the students think they're in trouble when he calls them down, but they realize very quickly that he's just there to help them out. They become a little more friendly, and then it's not as challenging once they realize that he's truly there to help them out. He also says that he keeps his lunch hour open. He'll eat in his office because a lot of times that's a time where students are available to come into his office and meet with him so that they can go over classes, or if they're having personal issues, they can go over their social emotional problems, whatever they need to work on it with him. Also, he was letting me know that as far as seniors go, he will pull their credits. He'll run their credits and just make sure they have enough credits to graduate. And even juniors, the second half of the school year, he'll do that with the juniors just to make sure they're on track for graduation. If they are not, and they can't make those credits their senior year, then he'll pull them in and recommend summer school or some online courses to help them meet their credits. Counselors also help because students with college and career preparation for after graduation. And Mr. Stevens was talking about how he wished the students more utilized him for this, that he is really available and knows quite a bit about scholarships and applications for colleges and schools, even knows a lot about applying for jobs after school, different things like that. So they help maintain the Career Center. Counselors help maintain the scholarship list, and they have local scholarship applications that have to be filled out by hand in the counseling center that that they help students with. So that's pretty awesome. Another part that a counselor needs to help with is the socio-emotional part of the student. And the counselor can help with social service agencies and recommend students to them. Also, sometimes they need to counsel students individually, and they will do that as well. They're really great with the students and help them along very well. To become a school counselor in Washington State, you need to have a master's degree along with your bachelor's. And also, Mr. Stevens was talking about how great it would have been, and he did not do this route, but he thinks that it would be a wise idea to get a master's in social work or a master's in education as like a focal point along with your master's in counseling, just to help you with knowing more about the schools and knowing more about what to do when you have social issues come up with your students that are struggling with families, or you need to how to handle those situations with students that are in a hard spot with their social life or with their family life, and how to refer them or how to counsel them. So the starting salary for a Washington school counselor, they earn a median salary of $58,910 per year, and they generally start around the $40,000 per year and go up to about $76,000 per year. So that's a higher wage than just having your bachelor's degree. I received my information from Mr. Stevens at Timberline High School, and I am representing because we had our football game tonight. I had to get, well, I didn't have to. I went and helped out at concessions, and that was awesome. Also, I looked up on study.com, and I did a Google search, and schoolcounselor.org also had some information for me. So I hope this enlightened you a little bit on what a high school counselor does for students that attend a high school, and maybe helps you learn what you need to know to help you decide whether or not you want to be a school counselor when you go through your career path. Thank you.